As human beings, we're living in a time when humanity is in trouble. So part of what we need to do to help us as human beings is to listen to each other, to listen to other cultures, to listen to other stories, but make sure that our own individual cultures and roots and traditions and heritage, that we embrace it. We talk about it with our full chest. I come from a tradition of storytelling. The elders, gather the children, and under the moonlight, and tell us stories. Some of those stories are coming back to me, and it's been decades since I heard those stories, but they're part of my DNA now.
In 2015, I wrote a book that I titled Embedded Stream Water. In the beginning of that book, you see a man that is telling story. He is literally a storyteller. The man built a house under a tree. So every evening, the children will go to the house to listen to story. Every evening. This is very popular among African literature. Now, there's something I want us to point out there. Is that this man built a house under a tree called Ovu. The tree become a point of reference. Now, if you take a picture of the United Nations, if you take a picture of any National Assembly, it is built around that. It's called the square. The village square, it is of village. Is there somebody there that knows something that might want to share with us? Because I am still researching, I'm still trying to understand how do we leverage this, our connectivity? Because now we are together. What do we do with this now? We are connected. But okay, when we are connected, then what do we do with that? When we collect the experiences, then what do we do with that? I've interviewed a number of people. Maybe, for example, there is a series that we call Life and Legacy. In that Life and Legacy, we do interview related to people of importance in the African diaspora, and of course also African. People like W. Du Bois, people like Kadeji Wisi, people like Thomas Sankara, people like Martin Luther King, people like Marcus Garvey. We have collected a lot of story around these people. But how do we explore this story and use it in a way that it can heal us, it can build our unity as a people? Because now we're talking about networking, but what do we put in the middle? Something that everybody is holding on to. All right, let me explain that a little bit. In 2015, I wrote a book that I titled Embedded Stream Water. Okay, that book then was accepted at the University of Verona in Italy as one of the books that the children can pick to read, because we're talking about African culture, talking about my experiences. Now, in the book, at that time, 2015, I wasn't saying anything about storytelling. I only started storytelling series last year. Last year. So, in the beginning of that book, we see a picture of a man. Okay, not a picturesque book, but you see a man that is telling story. The name is Okokbuje, and he lives in a village that they call Okbuje. So he is literally a storyteller. But this is the kick. The man built a house under a tree, and the tree is named Ovu. And the tree is a very big tree. So every evening, the children of Okbuje will go to the house of Okokbuje to listen to story. Every evening, the children go there to listen to the story from the old man. Now, at a point in the book, I was saying, but this man have said everything he needed to say to these children. Yet, the children go there every evening, listen to story. I don't know if any of you sort of get a picture of what I'm talking about here. Maybe when you were growing up, you go to an elderly person who tells you story, you listen to the story, and you really enjoy it as the person is talking about the story. Whether the person is having something like ukoko, like a pub that is smoking, and then the way he talks, the way he makes parable, you have a kind of a special connection to that person as he tells story. Now, there's something I want us to point out there, is that this man built a house under a tree called Ovu. Now, that Ovu, if finally expanded, can become a point of contact. Hello, and thank you for checking out this video. I'm Obehi Ewanfoh, the host of the African Diaspora Storytelling series. Every 2 weeks, we meet up on LinkedIn to talk about different ways we can leverage the power of storytelling as people of African descent. Now, this is it. We are uniting the millions of Africans in the diaspora through the power of our story. It does sound like what you are interested in. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and share this video with your friends who might need it. Now, back to today's conversation. Is that the entire village have a point of contact. This is very popular among African literature. Is that maybe you have a man that is sitting under a tree, or that everybody goes there to listen to the story because the tree become a point of reference. Everybody know that we are going to meet at that point. Now, if you take a picture of the United Nations, if you take a picture of any national assembly, it is built around that. It's called the square. The village square, it is a village. But if we want to build a metropolitan city, we don't invent everything. We build it based on the proud knowledge. Meaning, what did we know before? That is exactly the copy of the village where everybody is sitting down, they are talking, they are listening, and they are learning. That is what the United Nations General Assembly look like. That is how the US National Assembly look like. We have these different individuals now coming around, they are sitting down and they are talking. Okay, sometimes they are also talking for the people. But can we get something to learn from there? There is something that is connecting all of us together. There is something that make all of us appear as we are all united in front of this entity. This is what I'm trying to get at there. Now, looking at storytelling, looking at connection, looking at the people. Okay, now there are 3 elements there: the people, story, and the community. How do we use where we are coming from, which is therefore our origin, to build more network among ourselves? What would you like to say about that?
Thank you, Brother Obehi. And again, thank you to all the people in the room listening. It's have great gratitude for your presence, and hopefully we can hear from some of you. Networking and the community. You know, I have found I come from a tradition of storytelling. The elders, gather the children, and under the moonlight and tell us stories. Some of those stories are coming back to me, and it's been decades since I heard those stories, but they're part of my DNA now. And as I was having children, since they were babies, I always told them stories, and I always put them in the stories. They were part of the stories. And now that they're young adults, I hear them talking about the stories that mom told them, and how they were the heroes in those stories. And it has been part of their own development. And I see how powerful it is to them, living now in the diaspora, that they are young Africans living here in this chaotic world. And they draw on those stories, which for me, I think is one of the greatest things their father and I could have done for them, because they need these stories to help them with their own identity. As Africans in the diaspora, engaging in networking is so important. I mean, I'm now seeing the more and more the power of networking now that I'm very active. I've always been someone who likes to network, but I'm doing it in a very mindful way now. I'm looking for my brothers and sisters. I want to talk to them. I want them to talk to me. I want them to tell me their stories. I want them to tell me what makes them tick. I want them to tell me their challenges. And in doing that, I find that I can connect, because a lot of those challenges, we have different stories, but the feelings are similar. It helps me, it strengthens me. And as well as that, I want to hear the stories of other people, other cultures, because we're not islands on our own. We have, as Africans in the diaspora, we have our own unique stories, but as human beings, we're living in a time when humanity is in trouble. So part of what we need to do to help us as human beings is to listen to each other, to listen to other cultures, to listen to other stories, but make sure that our own individual cultures and roots and traditions and heritage, that we embrace it. We talk about it with our full chest, as they say. We feel pride in it, because that is something that has been damaged, through colonialism, through racism, through all of that stuff. But I think we're clawing it back now. And again, with my particular work, engaging in ancestral lineage healing practices allows people to tap into the collective wisdom and guidance of their ancestors. And in networking situations, this ancestral guidance can provide clear insights, clarity and direction for navigating challenges, making decisions, and pursuing goals collectively as a community. Networking events and gatherings can incorporate ceremonies and storytelling that honor the wisdom, resilience, and spirituality of our ancestors, fostering a sense of pride, identity, and belonging among groups of Africans in the diaspora. We're also creating legacies for future generations.